Bustling Surabaya on the Indonesian island of Java, this is a hot ticket, particularly at the weekend. It'll cost you $1.50 to step inside the Surabaya Zoo and join the crowd. And every week, 10,000 people wander through what was once considered one of the best zoos in Southeast Asia. It's a relatively affordable day out for local families who appear to enjoy themselves but seem oblivious to the condition of the residents and their enclosures. These days, Surabaya Zoo is more of a house of horrors than a wildlife wonderland.
I think Surabaya Zoo is one of the zoos that never been approved as a zoo because the facility and the condition of the animal is not good at all.
I reckon right now it should be quarantined. I think it should be closed. They need to step in now and they need to quarantine that place right now. It's a disease-carrying death zoo.
Halo Ibu, how are you?
Baik-baik.
Bagus.
Sri Penta has the unenviable task of trying to care for the zoo's residents as best she can.
Bagaimana dengan kesehatan dia? Ada perubahan? Bagus.
And as this sunny, energetic curator shows us around, it's clear that the job in front of her is overwhelming.
Satwa tiba-tiba mati mungkin salah satu faktornya juga karena populasi kandang yang terlalu padat, banyak pejantan dalam satu populasi, kemudian juga faktor kesehatan karena kondisi lingkungan kandang yang kurang memadai. Itu mungkin beberapa faktor yang bisa menyebabkan kematian pada satwa.
Everywhere you look, there are stark and confronting examples of animals in squalid, cramped conditions. Australian camels appear sick and emaciated. Australian pelicans are crammed in wing to wing. Some animals appear to be begging to be let out.
Ya tentunya karena kita juga sehari-harinya dekat dengan mereka ya. Begitu tahu bahwa banyak ada kematian memang dalam 3 bulan terakhir ini ya pasti rasa kecewa, rasa kehilangan itu pasti ada lah. Kamu kenapa, Pi? Pi?
About 50 animals have died in just 3 months, including this adult orangutan on the day we arrived. Beyond these walls, Indonesia's orangutans in Borneo and Sumatra are endangered. This baby male orangutan may survive. His parents rejected him, so he's being kept away from the zoo's other diseased apes. It's extraordinary that they've escaped human threats in the wild, but here in a place they should be safe and healthy, they're anything but.
Most of all because of the holding facility they got is very poor. The humidity is very high and they are very dark inside and it's easily transmit the diseases one to the others. And the second thing is the exhibit is very old, mostly left over by Dutch, maybe 50 years or 70 years ago.
Tony Sumampau is one of Indonesia's most respected animal experts, and he's particularly concerned about some vitally important residents, Surabaya Zoo's Sumatran tigers.
They have no room for the exercise. For these 3 tigers in Surabaya Zoo, they have no sunlight. when they're growing. So until now they don't have any facility for them to exercise, to climb the tree, to going up and jump down and things like that. That make their muscle becoming weaken every day. And the food is not very good as well. So
The appalling condition of the zoo's Sumatran tiger population is perhaps the most difficult to comprehend. These magnificent creatures should be the pride of Indonesia, the dominant predator among the country's exotic species. But populations have been devastated by development and poaching. Here at the zoo, though, the picture is no more positive for this critically endangered animal.
In regard to diseases that are inside that zoo, there's tuberculosis, there's hepatitis, and the animals are also dying of pneumonia.
There are thought to be only about 300 to 400 Sumatran tigers left in the wild. In here, 15 share their cramped quarters with others like this Bengal tiger.
Big boy?
Yeah, this is a big boy. Big boy. Male.
Sri Penta has seen the best and worst of this place in her 20 years here. Now, though, it's so bad, she's risking her job showing us the conditions the tigers are still kept in.
Kenapa itu tidak bagus untuk macan?
Iya, tidak bagus karena kandang terlalu kecil, kandang istirahat mereka terlalu kecil,
Ya.
dan lembab kita lihat bahwa tidak bisa kering lantainya, lembab, kemudian juga sinar matahari kurang bisa masuk. Makanya tidak dalam segi kesehatan kurang bisa bagus lah, tidak sehat nanti ke depannya bisa berakibat terhadap kesehatan satwa.
They're going to die. I have no doubt that they'll die. It is absolutely atrocious what they're doing in this zoo.
The dire plight of Surabaya's tigers has enraged animal conservationists around the world. Australian Sybelle Foxcroft is one who came to Indonesia to try to help, drawn by one awful life and death struggle, the case of tigress Milani.
At Surabaya Zoo, she was kept in what I could equate to a dungeon. They did that because the public were horrified, but then they didn't really do anything about her and they left her there for a very long time. So she didn't get any sunlight, she didn't get anything.
Milani and 3 other Sumatran tigers were malnourished and kept in cramped conditions. Then in 2008, they were fed meat contaminated with the preservative formaldehyde. Three tigers died. Incredibly, Milani lived. But only just, and she'd endure 5 years of suffering before a public clamour finally brought government intervention, her evacuation from the zoo and proper treatment. Sybelle Foxcroft was instrumental in getting Milani out of Surabaya.
She's a creature that has been neglected and abused inside a zoo that is deemed to care for her. She's woken up this morning and she's not wanting to eat freely like she normally does, but she's probably looking at everybody also, being distracted. But her feeding can take up to about 2 hours, and this is kind of normal also. But at the moment she just doesn't seem that hungry.
Milani is recovering at a place called Taman Safari Park outside Bogor, about a 2-hour drive south of Indonesia's capital, Jakarta.
Well, she's so very frail from her ordeal with this poison and then starvation. The starvation caused her body to start consuming her own organs. So right now, she's struggling to live.
Taman Safari is owned and run by Tony Sumampao, and it's dramatically different to Milani's old home in Surabaya. It spans 150 hectares and looks less like a zoo and more like a faithful recreation of a wild animal's natural setting. Resident tigers can stretch their legs in relatively wide open spaces. And when they need attention, or when wild tigers are brought here injured after a run-in with a poacher, there are sophisticated facilities at an on-site animal hospital.
Genetically, they are very nice. They're wild tiger, in fact, so it's good for to keep their young to release it in the wild, which is very important. Because
the safari park is looking after 28 Sumatran tigers who are under threat.
Well, someone poisoned him when he's quite young, less than 2 years old, I think.
So he's angry with humans since that, I suppose.
Yeah. But I thought he was gonna die at that time, but hopefully he's recovered from the poisons and become the real tigers now.
Real man.
Good. Real man.
The success of Taman Safari leaves Surabaya in the shade. With 1.8 million visitors a year, it pulls in tens of millions of dollars on ticket sales alone. There's restaurants and rides, as well as merchandise and a kind of sideshow alley area that's clearly a profit machine. With that, the park employs 750 staff and provides well for its animals. So around about now, you might be wondering why Tony Sumampao hasn't been called in to sort out the mess at Surabaya. The short answer is he has, or rather had, and the experience goes some way to explaining the intractable problems gripping the zoo in Java and imperiling its Sumatran tigers.
Well, you see, the Surabaya zoo cages is not square. So once the tail,
it's a rat's nest of vested interests, power struggles, nepotism, ineptitude and disinterest.
I think Surabaya Zoo is more likely is a management conflict between one management team and the other team.
But why are the animals in such poor condition?
Well, because they don't understand about the animal welfare issue.
Tony Sumampao was enlisted to fix Surabaya Zoo back in 2010. He says he tried to establish programs to better train zookeepers to care for animals and tried to rebuild or renew animal enclosures. But money was scant and so was goodwill. The zoo is staffed by people with family connections, and he says the animals' interests just don't rank as a priority.
They don't really know how to manage the zoo, but they're just thinking of gaining some money from the visitor for the purpose of their own welfare, not the animal welfare. The things that make the Surabaya Zoo is getting worse and worse.
Itu didirikan, dibangun oleh uang masyarakat dengan ide-ide dari para jurnalis saat itu. Nah, kemudian menjadi besar, saat itu terbesar di Asia Tenggara. Bisa bersaing dengan...
Earlier this year, Tony Sumampao was kicked out by this woman, the formidable but very popular mayor of Surabaya, Tri Risma Harani. The Surabaya Municipal Council is responsible for running the zoo and owns the land it occupies. The mayor claims a lifelong interest in the place.
Saya setiap Lebaran pasti ke situ, diajak oleh kakek saya ke situ. Dan karena itu kemudian SMP saya ada namanya Pecinta Kebun Binatang Surabaya. Saya masuk di situ. Kondisinya jauh lebih jelek saat saya waktu kecil saya ke sana.
Mayor Risma Harani hurled a barrage of accusations at Tony Sumampal, claiming he was secretly planning to develop the zoo into a luxury holiday resort and that he was trafficking animals.
Sekitar 1 tahun yang lalu, tim itu menghadap ke saya dan mereka mengatakan mereka ya ini nggak cukup biaya untuk pemeliharaan kebun binatang. Nah, mereka akan bangun hotel, mereka akan bangun restoran. Disitulah saya marah. Kemudian kenapa? Karena ini adalah kebun binatang, ini kebanggaan warga Surabaya.
This is just silly, you know. I'm helping for free, not for the stealing animals inside the zoo. If I want to get the animal, I can ask the minister. I like this animal, then I can get it just for free. But I never done that, you know. But they keep accusing me like that. I don't know why.
So you never took a proposal to them about a hotel?
No, never. I've never seen one too.
Critics of the mayor in turn claim she has her own development plans for the central city site. They accuse her of interfering for years in its affairs before taking personal control of the zoo, even though she has no expertise in the field.
Saya rasa Bu, ya nanti nanti waktu yang akan membuktikan apakah yang kita lakukan benar atau salah. Saya harus ngerahkan 5.000 pegawai Pemkot untuk membersihkan kandang, untuk mengusai itu, untuk bagaimana memperbaiki kandang-kandang yang rusak, untuk membersihkan tandon-tandon air. Itu 5.000 orang.
It's difficult to reconcile the mayor's catalogue of activity with what we saw at the zoo. In the sweltering Indonesian heat, animals still swam in and drank from heavily polluted water. The mayor has declined offers of assistance and expert advice from animal welfare groups.
About over a year ago, I wrote to the mayor and basically asked her to please, implement some humane care in Surabaya Zoo, and along those lines, just trying to be supportive as well and offering aid, and I didn't get a response from her.
Why do you think the mayor has refused help?
I have no idea. I do not know why she's refusing help. She has been offered help from a lot of organisations around the world, and my impression that I'm getting is that she's done some very good work around, but she's got engineering degrees and city planning degrees. She is not an animal skilled person. She is not a zoologist or a wildlife biologist or any animal ethics qualifications at all. She's got to leave this one alone and allow the professionals to get in there and fix these animals, or else they are going to continue to die.
And as claim and counterclaim volley from one side of Indonesia to the other, the animals continue to suffer and die. In some ways, the strife at Surabaya Zoo is emblematic of the nation's vexed and sometimes hostile relationship with its wildlife, where humans and development prevail and animals lose. Out here in the wilds of Sumatra, the tiger has roamed for thousands of years, but vast swathes of its jungle territory have been turned into farming land. Indonesia's burgeoning population has pushed ever deeper into the tiger's natural domain.
Even in the wild, when we're helping the tiger conflict, villagers are complaining, well, you only think about the wildlife that attacking our livestock. Why not you think about our life,
We're on our way to Susiro in northwestern Sumatra. Like many villages, it's carved out of the jungle wilderness, and like some, it's got its own tiger tale to tell. Cicero's home to about 600 people. It's not the poorest of places in Sumatra. The local rubber industry offers plenty of work. Villagers who run small subsistence farms here worry about losing stock to wild animals. Recently, though, a tiger claimed a human life. Adi and his friends work the local rubber plantations, but illegally harvesting sandalwood from deep in the national park is a tempting sideline that can earn a year's salary in quick time. On a trip into the jungle hoping to strike it lucky, they came under attack from a group of Sumatran tigers.
Satu orang pisah sama kami kan, kami tengok dia udah ditangkapnya sama harimau tadi kan. Jadi kami tengok itu harimau tadi. Jadi kami tengok ke samping lagi, harimau yang satu lagi mendatangin kami. Jadi kami itu cepat-cepat kami naik ke atas pohon kayu.
Yang kita serpiari itu ya dia perjalanan.
From that vantage point, they saw their friend mauled to death.
Kayak saya aja lama saya di hutan baru sekali itu saya ngelihat benda itu.
The fatal attack horrified the men and traumatised the village, but the experience made them respect the tiger and its territory in a way they'd never thought of before. They're not the only ones thinking about the tiger. Slowly, the country's tigers are getting attention.
Puluh-puluh tahun di masyarakat kita, budaya kita, ya, orang misalnya kalau dia memiliki di rumahnya itu ada kulit harimau, itu satu kebanggaan. Kalau dia mampu punya gading gajah di rumahnya, itu juga suatu kebanggaan. Orang bisa punya memburu berhasil memburu harimau, itu juga suatu kebanggaan ya. Jadi budaya-budaya itu dulu memang tidak.
Indonesia's Forestry Minister Zulkifli Hasan has come to check the conservation efforts at Taman Safari Park. His ministry makes the rules and regulations for zoos, but even a powerful national politician has found it difficult to solve the Surabaya mess.
Menyehatkan kembali, mengatur tata kelola kebun binatang dengan baik, kandang-kandangnya harus dirapihkan, ya, dan seterusnya itu memerlukan biaya yang besar sekali. Nah, saya dari tiket masuk tentu tidak akan mencukupi, anggaran pemerintah daerah juga kalau 4 miliar kan juga tidak banyak. Oleh karena itu saya kira perlu waktu mencari untuk dijual itu memang.
And as if financial and management problems weren't enough, now nature is throwing in more problems. Evidence is emerging of a disease developing in already scant wild tiger populations that attacks the nervous system and eventually kills the animal. It's just one reason why so much is depending on the success of a special breeding program at Taman Safari Park. When Foreign Correspondent was visiting the park, vets performed the first artificial insemination of a Sumatran tiger in Indonesia. Semen from a sedated wild male has been injected into a wild female. If the operation is a success, the program could help keep the wild Sumatran tiger population alive.
I would think now the tigers number is really around 300, 350, nothing more than that. If we can't save the habitat of the tigers, we might lose the tiger in another 30, 40 years. They will disappear in a while, except in the zoo.
A great deal rests on the survival of Milani, the tigress, as well. If she can survive the ordeal she suffered at Surabaya Zoo, it will inspire and encourage all those who've worked so hard to save her.
So she's a critically endangered Sumatran tiger. She has the ability to show affection to the very species that hurt her so. And to see an animal struggle through this sort of thing, you know she wants to live. It's her will that's keeping her alive. She's a survivor, and her nature is so very gentle and beautiful.